All right, we're back in the garage working on the Busa yet again. I got pretty much just today to work on it, and then tomorrow I'll be loading up the trailer so that we can head out to Glamis for a rodeo day trip. Okay, so we are going to be installing this tachometer. Looks like pretty decent little setup. Came with the sandrail when I bought it. So the plan is we're gonna mount it kind of down here, kind of like that, pointing over to the driver's seat. I'm not sure that I'll leave it in here. I just kind of want it for this first trip so I can get used to how the engine sounds versus what RPM it's at. So I think I'm gonna just build something that mounts into these screw holes, kind of comes up and around. These are the brake line and the clutch cable, throttle cable. Something that kind of comes up, goes over it, and then has a mount so that the gauge can attach to it. And then we'll have to run power, ground, and a tachometer signal from the engine computer. So that's the game plan. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I just chopped this piece of metal off of a much longer piece of stock. I think my game plan here is to kind of build like an arch that comes up, matches with this radius that's underneath here, and then kind of comes down and has two tabs that will then attach to those existing holes. So I've got this, cheapo Harbor Freight bar bender. Grabbed a 2-inch die. Looks like it fits pretty well. I think this will be about the right size to hit both of those holes. So I'll just kind of go somewhere in the middle, put a bend in it, kind of like the shape of the letter A, and then we'll figure out how to put some feet on it and get it all cut to the right size. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. So I kind of drew out the rough shape that I want, and you can see we're getting pretty close. These double lines, that's where the holes will be for the mounting screws. Got the radius pretty good, angles don't look too bad. Let's see how it sits on the buggy here. So you can kind of see what I'm going to be doing here. It's got to clear all this stuff, and then it'll use those two mounting holes to attach. So I think it'll be alright. A little bit of trimming, a couple of holes, and throw some paint on it. Should be alright. Alright, so I remove the bolts, go for a little test fit here. So, looks pretty good. Not too bad. So, next thing, I've got to drill a couple of holes across the top so that the tachometer can actually mount. Let's give it a shot. You can also notice, I did have a little bit of trouble. You see I had to knock out a little bit of metal there. It was interfering with the welds on these two brackets, so no big deal. Alright, so here's what it looks like with the tack mount pulled off. So you can see how it kind of matches the curve. So I just need to poke a couple holes in it. Okay, my camera battery died, so I didn't get the rest of this install, but here you can see I've got the tack mounted. I ended up painting that bracket a silver color just because I thought it would match the tachometer, and I didn't have any blue to match the frame, so I went with silver. It's turning out pretty good, so if I put the camera kind of where your head would be while you're driving, you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. I think it's a pretty good location. I jumped in there, my leg goes right by the tachometer, doesn't really get in the way of the foot pedal or anything like that, so yeah, it's coming along pretty good. Just gotta now worry about getting it all wired. Alright, just finished the wiring. I'll give you guys a look here so you can see this new, this is the cabling. I got one of these like expandable covers to protect it. This is what the back looks like. So I did heat shrink all the way up through here. There's a connector that runs the light up here, the shift light. That's all heat shrunk. The heat shrink extends down over that guy, and then you can kind of see it just follows those cables towards the back, and then eventually makes its way over here inside this box. That's where all the ECU is and all the electrical connections. So I actually got pretty lucky. You can see this lug down there. There was a handy ground lug, so I tapped into that. And then inside this box, there was a small fuse box, maybe like 6 positions, that already had a wired position that didn't have a fuse in it. So all I did was add a fuse, plug into the other side of it, and that's how I'm getting power. So I mean, all in all, it worked out pretty good. I'm happy with how it looks. Fits in there real nice, pretty clean install. You see it's got the backlighting on it. I just did a quick test. Looks like it's working just fine. And so if you want to see more of this tachometer and more of this buggy, I think the next video I make will be out in the sand dunes. So I think she's pretty much ready for a maiden ride. We'll see. I gotta get all this crap, that buggy and this buggy, inside my toy hauler. I'm not sure how many of these bikes I'm bringing. I might just bring this guy. I call him Masher. So it should be a fun trip. Lots of shenanigans and rides, and give you guys my perspective on this new sandrail I got. So stay tuned, that should be the next video out. Alright, thanks for watching.